Hello and welcome to my first tutorial on how some of the functions for my AAS Invasion missions work. The original mission was created by the AAS network PvP scene and all guys involved with that. Thanks for the mission, guys. It's awesome. I've enjoyed editing it and playing it. So anyway, we're going to move straight into this. This is base X-ray for the BAF team, obviously. The first thing we're going to be looking at is class selection. So at every base, as soon as you spawn in, which will be at the flag, and we'll get into that a bit later, there'll be one of these crates floating around the flagpole. I'm not hiding them on you, so they're pretty easy to find. Okay, the first thing you need to do is come up to the crate and use your scroll wheel. It'll come up with a selection on the left hand side of all the different classes you can select. I'm currently a rifleman, and I'm going to select rifleman again just to show you guys how this interface works. Okay, so selecting rifleman, this interface pops up. Now the way this works is Control D will let you select the alternate kit for this class, and also if you sort of got into the interface and we're told straight away, you know, you're not grabbing rifleman, you have to grab lat. While you're into this interface, you can use Control C to select the different classes. Okay, we're going to go all the way back to rifleman though. I'll grab one of those. The way to close this interface too is just by walking away from it. Another thing that's been added to this interface is that once you've selected a class, it will prevent you from selecting another one for 2 minutes after the interface is closed. So just remember that's pretty important, guys. This is to stop people like sort of spamming jav rockets, like constantly firing a jav, selecting, and you know, the same with AA, all of that sort of stuff. So okay, that's pretty much it for the class selection. We'll just move on to something else. Okay guys, the next part of this tutorial we'll be talking about the squad interface, the interface that allows you to choose other squads in game. This has only been implemented because of people in game. Once servers start to fill up, they want to play with their mates, and this is the way to swap to their squads. There are preset squads as you load into this mission, but obviously this is the way to leave those squads and join the ones that you want to be a part of. So it's just a scroll wheel action. These notice boards are only at main bases, so Op4 have one identically to this, and yeah, we'll just scroll and get into it. Now this interface pops up. I can't fully explain how this functions properly because I'm the only person on this at the moment, so I'll just try to describe it the best I can. Okay, this box here is you and your squad. This will have a list of the names of who is in your squad. I'm obviously the only person in the squad at the moment. This box just above it tells you what squad you are. Okay, these will be listed over in available squads, this box here. There'll be a listing of however many squads there are on the server at the time. Now to view who is in those squads, you just press on the squad and then show squad players. It comes up with a list of who is in that squad. Okay, pretty basic functions here. You want to leave your squad, press leave. If you want to join another squad, you press on the squad you want to be a part of, then press join squad. Pretty straightforward. Another feature that has been added to this is the step up and step down as leader of your squad. Now if you're the leader and you've had enough, you just don't want a squad leader anymore, you just press the button step down as leader. It'll put you to the bottom of the list. If you want to step up as leader, you have to wait for the previous leader to step down, then it gives you a 30-second window where you can actually step up and be the squad leader of that squad. The last sort of button you need to know is close interface. I'd like to add one more thing to this as well. It doesn't allow you to name your squads. It just uses default group names from Arma 2. We found this because it made it run just a lot smoother. If you had stuff that was, different names, or you could type in names, it would have to call it from a script. It's an optimization thing. So squads are always going to be 11A, 11B, 11200. Okay, that's it for this part of the tutorial. We are going to move on to something else. Okay, this part of the tutorial we are going to be looking at the R3F logistics and artillery script. This allows you to be able to move equipment, boxes, ammo, load them into vehicles, unload them, winch them with helicopters. You get the gist. If you've ever played Wasteland, I hate to say it, but if you've ever played Wasteland, this you won't need to watch this part of the tutorial. It's going to cover all those things in Wasteland that allow you to load and unload vehicles. So anyway, for those that haven't, we are going to start with these boxes. From the beginning of the tutorial, there was one of these out the front that let you select classes. These are exactly the same. They can just be loaded and unloaded from vehicles. I'm going to demonstrate that now. By using my scroll wheel, it gives me two new options here, which is load in and take this object. We'll start with load in. Okay, press load in, walk up to a vehicle, use your scroll wheel, load this into the vehicle. Okay, that box has vanished and it's gone into this vehicle. Now to check the contents of this truck, you just walk up to it, use the scroll wheel, view the vehicle content, and this pops up. I actually had a box in this one previously, so as you can tell by at the top of this interface here, it's telling us how much has been put in by weight load, which is 10. This truck can hold 50. And there are two BAF basic weapon boxes in here. To unload one of them, you just click on the BAF basic weapons, press unload. I'd like to add too, when you're unloading, make sure you face away from the vehicle or any people, because these boxes are deadly. They do crush and sort of add damage to anything they hit while they're moving. So it's a bit of a error, but hey, we can't have it all. Okay, now we have this box sort of connected to us. I'd like to also say that you need to be walking when you're moving any of these. If you try to just normal run, you constantly fall over and it keeps giving you a message to say stop running, you need to walk, which is fair enough. I mean, I can't see people in real life running around with 100 kilo ammo boxes. So anyway, this is connected to us now. We want to release the object back where it was. So scroll wheel, release the object. There we go, she's placed. Same thing like how we moved it out of the vehicle. Just to move it on its own, just use the scroll wheel and it has take this object. Does a little animation, you pull out your pistol. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, now we're going to move over to these larger crates, the sort of containers, cargo containers. Now these cannot be moved by hand, they are too heavy. You can load them into vehicles and load them out of vehicles, but it'll just place next to the vehicle. You can't actually carry these, they're just too heavy. These crates hold a few different base building sort of things in them, as say this one has big bag fence, two of them. It also has Y kits. Good if you're trying to fortify an area. These can also be winched by a helicopter and dropped in. You can also pack them into helicopters, but I think it's cooler if you winch them. These smaller cargo containers, these contain static weapons and some sandbags and stuff, and ordnance crates we'll get into a bit later. But this is for static weapon emplacements. I'll just show you how this works. Click onto this machine gun. We want to unload it. And there you go. We have a machine gun that we can now place. And we will release the object, and there it is. So these crates here, they can be reused. Say these boxes over here, which are ordnance, which I said we were going to get into later. If you've emptied one of those boxes, you've got your machine gun down, but you need to bring in ordnance for everything else, you can actually repack these cargo containers, then sling them to the bottom of a chopper and off they go. Anyway, that's the end for this part of the tutorial. We will be moving on to something else. Okay guys, moving on, we are now going to be talking about ordnance crates. Now ordnance crates are used to rearm these static weapons, the machine gun I placed earlier. Places where you can find them are at the armory, which is here, all the ammo boxes at the back, and I think there's also one ordnance crate that comes in the cargo container that this static gun was in originally. But just to show you the difference between the two, there's this lot here. These ones, if you scroll on them, will only let you reload AT and AA static weapons. Where these ones over here will let you reload MG and grenade launcher static weapons. We're going to go back over to the machine gun and the crate we got it out of. Now you'll see in the content there's a BAF ordnance crate. We need to take that out. Just so you guys know, these crates need to be within 10 or 5 meters, I can't remember exactly, but they need to be reasonably close to the static weapon you are trying to rearm. Just so you guys know, I've pre-emptied this weapon. I'm sure you didn't want to watch 2 minutes of me just firing into nothing. So this gun's empty, needs to be reloaded. We have the ordnance crate here. All you need to do, scroll on it, it'll give you the option to reload MG or GL ammo. Press on it, it does this stupid friggin' animation. Now once the box has vanished, we need to get back on the static weapon as the gunner, and it will give us an option to reload it. So, reload it. And as you see in the top right hand corner, the ammo has gone back to full. That's pretty much all we need to know about rearming static weapons. So on to the next bit. Okay guys, the next part we're going to talk about is servicing vehicles. Now there were different service points for different types of vehicles. AE rotary wing aircraft, fixed wing aircraft, boats, and ground vehicles, cars, tanks, etc. We are going to test this with one of these jackals over here. So we're just going to jump in it. Not as the commander though. As driver. We are going to drive it into this. And as you see here, there's all the crates and stuff. Just got to park the vehicle up next to it. Okay, as the driver, I've just gotten the option to service the vehicle. Now you just use it on your scroll wheel, as with everything else. Press service vehicle. I might like to add that any of these weapons here will not be serviced. You need gunners in them, and they will also be prompted with a message to rearm or service their part of the vehicle. There's different service times for different vehicles. AE, it's going to be longer for tanks or aircraft than it is going to be for these jackals to fully service them. So the driver's servicing does the damage and fuel, and the gunners, it will rearm the guns they are using at the time. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, we are going to move on to the next part of this tutorial. Okay guys, this part of the tutorial may be a bit daunting for those just starting out with Arma, so I'm going to try to explain this as clearly as I possibly can. This is the R3F artillery script we are using here, artillery computer I might say. I like it, I think it functions well, it's never done wrong for me, so I thought I would use it in this mission. Okay, the way we start using this artillery, first we need to jump on this mortar and then jump back off. The only reason I did that is to let the mission know that this is in the game, that this mortar is in the mission. And as you would know by using the scroll wheel, remember the name of the mortar, M252 81mm, because we're going to need to know that later. Now we are going to move over to this, which is the artillery computer. These are exactly the same for both sides, just so you know. The mortars are different, but this whole artillery computer area is identical for Op4 and Blue4. Now what we need to do is come up to it and scroll and select artillery computer. Never need to use artillery command quarter, there's just no need for it. So we're going to go straight into the computer. Okay, now this interface has popped up. It does look a bit daunting, but trust me, after a couple of times of using it, you'll be sending off fire missions within seconds. So anyway, we'll start up the top here. Battery position and target position. We're not going to bother with adjustments, I've never used it and never had to use it. So we'll just start with these first two. The first one, very simple. If the mortar was in a different location to where this computer is, you'd have to use a map click to locate where the mortar is on the map. But because this mortar is just over here, it's right where we are, you only have to use your position. I've also made it so that these mortars will never be moved. They will always be in the same position, so you'll always just have to use your position. The next one, pretty obvious, is our target. Now, this map will come up after your map click. I want to hit the middle of Devil's Castle, so I'm going to click right on the middle of Devil's Castle. Okay, so our mortar position and target position are set. Now we need to set our fire informations, which is our ordnance type, number of rounds in this fire order, and dispersion. Remember how I told you to remember the name of the mortar? This is because you need to be able to go through this list, find the name of the mortar, which was the M252 81mm, and select what payload you want to send in this fire order. At the moment, because this is Chandra's, it's a pretty big map, I'm going to stick with HE at 6,000 meters. So we're going to click on that. Number of rounds, I'm going to go with 3 as I had it. Dispersion, even though I never use it, this computer still likes you to set it. I always set it to about 20, I don't know why, it's just my thing. Now after we've done this, we are going to press compute. Now this does take some time for the script to work out distances between things and what ammo, it's just loading up. Okay, it's computed. Down in this bottom corner we haven't had any errors like invalid fire order. It will tell you if you've done something wrong. So now we can move to the second half of this interface. Now we have a box down here which is selection of operators. Now if there were more people on with me at the moment, there would be the list of everybody here. But because I'm the only person on, I'm the only person in the list. If somebody else was in my squad sitting on that mortar waiting for a fire order, I would select his name. But because I'm the only one here, I'm the one receiving the fire order. So I've pressed on my name, and now we have two options, order low, order high. Because this is Chernarus, there's a lot of hills, we're going to go with order high. Because if we used an order low, even though it would take less time for that payload to reach its target, we may hit hills on the way. So I'm going to stick with order high, press that button. Now as you can see down the bottom here, it is Diabolical gave you 3 new fire orders. So I gave myself 3 new fire orders. There were no errors, everything worked, no invalid fire orders, nothing like that. So now we can close this interface. We are done with this page. Now we move over to the mortar, jump on it. I always hit numpad 0. And now we have the mortar interface. This thing is very self-explanatory. You need to line up the right hand side azimuth and elevation to the set side of the left. I made sense? Yes, I hope I made sense. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see what's happening when I move this. Just so you know, in the middle there where it says ammo, we need to set the ammo to this mortar, what we set it to in the computer, and it's telling us there it's the HE 81mm. So we need to use our scroll wheel to go down and reload with HE 81mm 6000 meter. Okay, it's not red anymore. Now this is the hard part. You need to line up the right side to the left side, and I might just add that this is so touchy. Usually if you get it in within like 10 degrees of your target, you're usually pretty right. So I reckon I've got that about as good as it's gonna get. After every shot, just move it a touch for dispersion. Okay, that's my 3 shots fired off. Now there's something running at the moment that is a debug, and for every piece of ordnance that lands, it'll leave a red marker on the map. So we're going to go on the map now. My aim was for the middle of Devil's Castle, so let's see how I went. You should be seeing some little red dots appear, I hope, within this area soon. Yep, there's the first one inside the castle. There's the second one sort of outside the castle. And the third one's not too bad either. Anyway, we will move on from this. Later on I'll be having it so that the artillery computer can only be accessed by squad leaders. Just with some other vehicles that can use this, like main artillery pieces like the M119, the MLRS, also the MC Striker, which is a striker that has a mortar in the back of it. But anyway, we're going to move on to something else. Okay, just a quick little segment where I want to cover the view distance interface. Pretty much all you need to do is scroll wheel. It'll come up with the in the list there, view distance. Click on him. This is obviously done by Evo Curry. I like this. It was small and easy. Pretty much, if you want to change your view distance, depending on your computer and what it can handle, just bring down the little interface here. You can use the scroll wheel or the buttons to select what distance you want to set. We'll go with 4500. Press apply. And there you go. Very simple. This hasn't really been implemented for like infantry, but more for like pilots and like tank gunners, tank drivers, because they just need to see a little bit further. And also for people that have computers that just might not have as much guts as others. So anyway, that was quite a quick little segment. We will move on to something else. Okay, in this part of the tutorial I'd like to talk a little bit about the map, the caps, the flags that we have to capture, and what markers mean what. Okay, we're going to start with these 3 green blobs in the middle. These are the caps, the flag capture points and their radiuses. pretty straightforward. If you've played any sort of advanced and secure AAS, you have to get into these areas, defend them, hold them, attack the next one along. It's just how it works. Also, because we're BAF at the moment, we're going to go have a look at the BAF markers, because the Op4 ones won't pop up for us. So just zoom into X-ray here. These are all pretty self-explanatory. The armory, that's where our ammo crates and sort of ammo trucks and all of that jazz is. Ground vehicle rearming, pretty self-explanatory. Helo rearming, and where the mortar pit is. Just thought I'd go over that quickly, for some people might ask the questions later. Okay, we are going to move on to the next part. Okay guys, in this part of the tutorial I'm going to be showing you the sort of bandaging script. I've got my friend Halsey here, who is a retard. He's just going to be here helping me show you guys how this works. So to start off, I'm going to get Halsey to pull his pistol out, and I'm going to get him to shoot me in the leg. Okay, as you've seen, I just got a red flash on my screen, plus I've got the prompt to be able to use my bandages. The way to use these, just use your scroll wheel, press on bandage wounds. And as you'll see down in the bottom right hand corner, my health percentage will go back to 100. Okay, these bandages can also be used on others. I will demonstrate with Halsey now. Now I can just come up to Halsey, use the scroll wheel, and it will have give bandage to Halsey. Yes, you can give people bandages, or bandage him. I'm just going to bandage him. And as you just saw, his life went back to 100%. Practically the same thing works with the medic class when it comes to reviving. If a soldier is down, you just need to walk up to him and use your scroll wheel to press the revive player. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial. We will be moving on to something else. Okay guys, finally reached the end of this tutorial. This is the last part I'll be showing you, which is the spawn selection screen. This pops up at the beginning of the missions and after every time you die. Pretty much what it says is what it does. There's a little notification up here that when you are down, it will give you a distance of how far the nearest medic is. Also with these missions, it works on a queue system, so if you're all trying to spawn on one flag besides X-ray, which is main base, between each person's spawn it can take up to 5 to 10 seconds for you to spawn at that place. You can cancel out of that and spawn further back in the flag line to just spawn instantly. But this is how it works. You've got X-ray, which is your main base. It's main base for both sides, which is Blue 4 and Op 4. They'll get this same tab. This is what you press to spawn at main. And for every flag you've captured, there'll be more tabs underneath with Bravo flag, Charlie flag, etc, etc. We're going to go with X-ray. And there we go, we've spawned at main. I hope you guys have learnt something out of this tutorial. Maybe not so much for the people that have played a lot of Arma before, but for the people just starting out, wanting to get into this, I hope I've given you guys enough information to be able to get on and have some fun. So I'll see you guys in game. Catches.